This is Mick Foley.
Former WWE superstar Hornswoggle.
This is Dave LaGreca from Bustin' Open.
I am WWF's longest reigning light heavyweight champion, Gilbert, and you are now
somewhere in the ring.
Somewhere in the ring.
Somewhere in the ring.
Somewhere in the ring. Have a nice day.
You watch any baseball this week?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
A little bit.
Okay.
I watched my poor Mets lose their opening day. I was gonna say skirmish.
You've been
Or
across
match.
the pond for too long.
I know. But your guys won their opening day game. Am I correct?
No, we lost.
You did?
We lost opening day, but then we beat the Red Sox 3 games in a row, which was very exciting.
Ooh,
and then we lost 13-4 last night, which was a big.
Lord.
Like there's It's early season. This is my favorite kind of like everything
Wild
matters,
card,
but nothing
yeah.
matters. Baseball,
Yeah.
because I will remember for the rest of my life the year the Rangers won the World Series. The opening series, I believe it was definitely against the Phillies, but they like clobbered them. Like we won 4 games in a row, and it was like, oh, and like that. While this year's start didn't fill me with as much confidence as that year, this year's was definitely better than last year's. Like last year's, our team, we looked a certain way against the Red Sox that we just did not look at all last year. So we'll see. Fingers crossed. Toes too, just to be safe. A lot of young guys. There are even people, they like one of the most experienced pitchers on the team. Well, the most experienced would be a guy named Chris Martin, who's like 39. Then Jacob deGrom is 36, which is how old I am. One of the best pitchers in MLB history is my age. And then there's some other guys. There are these 2 guys, Jack Leiter and Kumar Rocker, who are like 24 and 25, respectively. So it's there's a lot of different ends of the spectrum that makes me, all of it makes me feel old. Every single last bit of it.
Yeah.
Everything. I am Andrew Sanford, by the way. Yeah, as it should. Oh my God, my knees.
Everything.
The weather.
Dude?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Pro wrestling, which is what this podcast is about. This is Somewhere in the Ring. We talk about pro wrestling here, unless we take some, detours to talk about baseball and other things we like. I am Andrew Sanford. This is my lovely co-host, Ryan Sprague. And today, in addition to doing some recaps, we're going to discuss our top 3 WWE debuts. Debuts in WWE history. These will be subjective, obviously. But Ryan and I each picked 3. I have a feeling I know what one of his is going to be.
Me too.
So I purposely did not choose it.
Oh, nice of you.
Yes, I did. I wanted to avoid crossover, but we'll see. I think there's one where we still might cross over. We'll feel it out.
Yeah,
and we'll tackle that towards the end of the episode. But what do we got? What do we got on the news docket this week? What's been happening in the world of pro wrestling?
Surprisingly, not a lot, which is weird for the rest of the world because every sliver of rumor is news apparently in this community. But
one thing Saraya, formerly Paige, from in WWE, abruptly left AEW, which people are kind of trying to suss out. A lot of Dave Meltzer thinks she's going back to WWE. Some people think she's just kind of like retiring. Like, she has acknowledged that she's later in her career anyway. Mm-hmm. And it's miraculous she came back to wrestle to begin with. I don't know if you've ever seen the injury that took her out, but it's one of the scariest injuries I think I have ever seen in WWE because she gets like kicked. If I remember correctly, she gets kicked in the back and then like can't control her hands.
Oh, good
Lord. It is, dude. You see her body kind of shut down. Aside from there are plenty of really bad looking injuries that have happened in pro wrestling. Sid Vicious jumping off the top rope and like his legs snapping. But the Saraya one, Paige, terrifying. I just remember watching it and feeling wildly uncomfortable and scared for her. So it's pretty incredible that she was able to come back and do what she did at AEW. And I'd be interested to see if she wants to keep going. Maybe she just wants to stop.
Well, and I know she just came out with a autobiography actually that spans her whole life and career. And was she the one who had the movie made about her.
Yeah,
with
fighting with my family, which
Did
I've
you
actually
see
never
that?
seen. I
Okay,
haven't.
okay.
Florence Pugh plays her in that one, like Florence Pugh
Oh,
right
okay.
before she like really took off.
Huh.
Vince Vaughn is in there, and which I've actually heard is very good in, and it's directed by Stephen Merchant. Office co-creator Stephen Merchant. Yeah. Maybe we can start doing some movie reviews for the old Patreon, because I think there's Fighting with My Family we got to watch. We could do a Life with Mikey episode. Obviously we can't do Ready to Rumble because that's the main feed. That's going to be a main feed miniseries.
That's right.
Yeah. It'll be several episodes. One that is just going to be entirely about them about David Arquette and Scott Conn talking to one of Frank Zappa's kids who plays
Larry Zappa. Yeah.
Oh no! Oh, trust me. Frank Zappa chose. I think it's like Moon Unit. I believe is the name. Way. Ahmet's a pretty normal name. Of course, I'm just gonna say this on air because I said this was going to happen. My mechanic is calling me right now. I'm not gonna answer. I'll figure it out. But I literally
did say this
Ryan
before we
this.
recorded.
Yes, because the last 2 times that I've had to drop our terrible car off that we need desperately, they have called as we're recording to let me know that it's done. And that's happening right now. Hopefully it's good news. Something was wrong with our turn signal. I don't know.
You don't want to answer it down there? It'd be hilarious.
Do you call it a turn signal or a blinker?
Here in the UK, we call it a blinky blinky. No, I'm kidding.
Look, I wasn't going to question it.
Apologies to all our UK listeners. What were my 2 options again? I apologize.
Turn signal or blinker.
Okay. Blinker. I've always called it a blinker.
But see, I just never for me. I don't understand that.
What do you call the thing that controls your television?
Remote control.
Okay.
The remote. Yeah.
See, my grandparents grew up calling it a clicker.
See, and what's very funny is I did not know that this was like a country kind of phrase or whatever until they joked about it on 30 Rock. I grew up calling it a channel changer.
Okay.
A channel
very
changer.
Specific.
Yeah. I don't. And then I remember listening to a whole episode. I think it was like WTF. Donald Glover talking about how they made a joke where Kenneth says, "I couldn't change the channel because there was a water bug in my channel changer." Like that's. And I was like, "Wait, have we been saying something weird this whole time?" It's describing what it does.
Exactly. That's the only term that actually describes what that object does. So I give you credit. Thank you. It should be that. I got super excited and passionate.
Anyway, what happened? What happened on SmackDown this week? We are wasting.
What happened?
Wasting too much time.
Well, hey, I've got a couple news things before we.
Oh, there are news things. Oh, yes, that's right. Yeah, there were a couple things in there. Yeah,
very brief. We did not mention this last week. The natural disasters are getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. The tag team, Earthquake and Typhoon. Love it. Yeah. So I didn't know much about these guys, but they feuded with top teams like the Legion of Doom, the Beverly Brothers, and Money Inc. Their biggest accomplishment came in '92 when they won the Tag Team Championship, WWF at the time, by defeating Money Inc., which was Ted DiBiase and Erwin Shyster. They disbanded
Mr.
in
Rotunda. That's
Rotunda.
Yeah. That's Bray Wyatt's
dad. Right. Yep.
Dad.
They disbanded in '92 when Earthquake went back to a singles competition, and despite their short time together, Natural Disaster are remembered for their unique chemistry. So they have been what I believe is the final induction into the 2025 Hall of Fame.
We'll see because right. Yeah, go ahead because I'm kind of wondering that too. I feel like the other thing that you're about to bring up is in lieu of another person. That would be my guess.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, to play off of that, they're now doing like matches and moments are going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. And the first one, they're calling it the Hall of Fame Immortal Moments. And the first one's going to be Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Bret Hart, WrestleMania 13, which is incredible match. So.
It's a great match, and it also makes sense because you don't want to start with Mae Young giving birth to a hand. That's like 42. That's WrestleMania 42. maybe 43. Like, you don't want to. I think everybody's going to expect that to be the first. Like, oh, they're doing moments. An 80-year-old woman birthing a hand has got to be on there. So they'll probably wait. It's just like how they're keeping Ray Phoenix and Penta apart for right now. They're building that anticipation because people know it's coming, and they'll be even more excited when it finally happens. Just like they will be when on the grandest stage of them all, we get to watch large HD footage of Mae Young giving birth to a hand.
I'm gonna say it right now. On the record, this is the first time on the podcast where I literally almost just passed out from laughing so hard. You made me laugh so hard, I got lightheaded and I blacked out for a second there. So,
oh God.
Good Lord.
Please drink more water. That's really all I'm hearing there. Yeah.
I've got it right here.
Okay, good.
I was not expecting you to say that. But yes, this will be the first immortal moment in the WWE Hall of Fame. I'm wondering, do you think they'll have both guys up there for this, or will it just be kind of like a package they put together? What do you think?
I would guess it would be more of a package. Yeah, I think it would make sense to have Stone Cold up there. I think he'd be the most like. I don't know about Brett. I feel like Brett being like, I don't want to fly to California.
Agreed.
Like, it's like I'm in Calgary. I don't know. Thank you. I wouldn't be surprised if he
about
didn't show up.
Goldberg.
Yeah. As he should, as everyone should.
Thank you. This is a tremendous honor, but yeah, it could have been a bigger honor.
Yeah. I love that. I love that man. I love that man never lets that go. It is my favorite because it's not even like petty. It is just him being like, he ended my career. He ended one of the greatest careers in wrestling history. So he should be
Facts.
Should be mad.
Okay. I was going to go through what our confirmed WrestleMania matches are, but we'll save that. We've still got a couple weeks. Yeah. So no use in doing that now. Let's move right to SmackDown. Couple highlights from SmackDown this week. We had Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton started the show. Orton said he is coming for Cody Rhodes' title, which is interesting.
Because I think that's a great way to put it, because I don't want a fantasy book. I don't want to assume, because one of the great things that they've been the Triple H era has done well is swerving past people's expectations.
Mm-hmm.
However, seeing John Cena defend his belt, because it will probably be his belt after this WrestleMania, against people who were heels when he wrestled them initially and are baby faces now, could be very interesting. I think Randy Orton is at a different level than both John Cena and CM Punk, to be perfectly frank, and that's not like a knock at either of them. I just think like Randy Orton is still wrestling like he's in his late 20s. Like late 20s are like he is just a well-oiled machine who is just incredible in the ring. I maybe even the best in the entire roster. So we'll see. I would almost rather see him go up against Cody Rhodes, because I feel like Cody Rhodes would be, but if they could recapture any of that kind of magic, it makes sense for John Cena to go against Orton, and it makes even more sense because we'd have like a new angle at it that we didn't have before.
Right. I could see that. I think that'd be a tremendous way to shake things up and keep this run with Cena interesting after he gets the championship, which I think now both of us do believe is going to happen.
Yeah, and I'm not mad about it. I don't know how it's going to happen. I would just be very surprised if it didn't. Yeah. And maybe that's what they're going for.
Right.
But like we've said, as far as I'm aware, Cena is done in December, so you can't really extend this until next WrestleMania or whatever. But I'll be interested. And it could also be fun if Cena, beats Rhodes, then Rhodes takes a few months off, comes back around SummerSlam, and then is the one to take the title back at the end of the year. I think that could very, very easily happen and could elevate Rhodes and send Cena out on a good note.
Absolutely, man. Like we always say, the chase for the championship is so much more interesting than actually having it. So agreed. On SmackDown, we had a good match, a really good match against Street Profits, retaining their titles against my boys, the Elfin British guys, pretty deadly, in their homeland of London, England. But they did not come out victorious, unfortunately. Street Profits did retain. We also had LA Knight retaining his U.S. Championship versus Braun Strowman after interference by Jacob Fatu, who seems to be breaking away from the bloodline and Solo Sikoa. So I'm looking forward to that finally happening.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. I think like it seems pretty clear that they're building to a match between them at Mania, and I don't know. It's it's Jacob Fatu is one of the. I always feel bad for Solo Sikoa, and I like Solo Sikoa. He's just kind of like stalled in the last like year or so. Whereas Fatu has just been nothing but pure momentum from the moment he arrived, and he's got everything to back it up. He's incredible. He's incredible.
Tasmanian Devil, man. Just
dude, he's awesome.
Pure talent. He has everything. I love it. We had a pretty scary moment on SmackDown, actually. Drew McIntyre beat Randy Orton after Kevin Owens distracted Orton. Later, Damian Priest would chokeslam McIntyre through a car windshield, and allegedly McIntyre suffered an eye injury. At first, people thought he got shattered glass in his eye. He did get it checked out, and apparently it wasn't glass itself, but on windshields, apparently there's like a layer of plastic between the glass. So if it does shatter,
just like straight up, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Of hurting people inside their cars. So apparently a piece of that plastic somehow got lodged into his eye. There's rumors that he's been seen backstage with an eye patch on. So I don't think this is a work. I think he was legit injured, but thank God it wasn't glass that got in there. That could be.
Thank God it wasn't glass. Also, I'm just gonna say it. I bet Drew McIntyre looks real rad with an eye patch. Like
hell yeah, dude. Unlike
hey, all right, happy accident.
Didn't Tonga Loa have one for a little bit too recently?
Yeah, and they just kind of, that was clearly one of those.
They never acknowledged it.
They never acknowledged it. They're like, he's got to wear it, but just don't talk about it, please. Like, it's
nobody will notice. Oh my God. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I hope Drew's okay to still compete in WrestleMania. We had a Alba Fire and Piper Niven took on Kaden Carter and Katana Chance, who we haven't seen in like forever. It seems like it's been at least a year. They Alba Fire and Piper Niven did win with Zelina Vega coming in at the end and beating the crap out of Chelsea Green and her cabinet. Nice. Charlotte Flair took on Michin and won via submission. It's a good match. Naomi gave one of the best video package promos I've ever seen. She broke down crying. She was like all over this emotional roller coaster, looked amazing in this caution sort of get up she's got going on. And she has a new catchphrase, which literally gave me chills, and it's proceed with caution. And she is coming after everybody, dude. I cannot wait to see this heel run. Jimmy Uso beat The Miz in a super random match, but okay.
Like, I love that they're just giving love to Jimmy right now, man. Like,
oh my God, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
That continued on Raw as well. And then the final segment was Reigns, Punk, and Rollins contract signing. CM Punk was told by Paul Heyman he would close night one of WrestleMania in the main event, which made CM Punk visibly emotional. It's been a boyhood dream of his to main event WrestleMania. He's finally getting it. Rollins was super pissed off about this. Roman Reigns could give 2 Fs. I am loving this. Like
what I kind of love
Roman right now.
What I even loved though is he's kind of like you're welcome, because he assumed that was like the favor that Heyman promised Punk, and it wasn't. It was pretty great. So that was like a nice little swerve right at the end there too, to be like, oh, he's like, that wasn't the favor. Cut to black. Like,
cliffhanger of the century. We did. I put a call out to our Facebook group and social media. What is the favor? If that was not it, what the hell is this favor? So we want to know from you guys. Maybe we'll make some predictions as the weeks go on here towards WrestleMania, or we might know the answer before
Yeah, we might.
WrestleMania. We'll
Yeah,
see.
sure.
We'll see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll be interested. One thing I will say real quick is that people were pointing out how in a different promo in AEW, Punk made fun of how many nights WrestleMania is, and everybody's like, "Oh, well, he's kind of a hypocrite here, huh?" And I'm like, "No, guys,
No,
be real here.
stop.
Be real. Be real.
Stop.
Like, come on."
Good Lord.
Anyway,
Let's move to
Yeah.
Raw. That Raw, which capped off our European tour. They're heading back to the States as we speak. They'll be in, I think it's Chicago next week, and Minneapolis, something
I think
like
it's
that.
Chicago by Friday. Yeah.
Sweet. Oh, that's gonna be big.
Some
for
more
CM
Punk goodness going on. Yep.
Yep. All right. Raw, we saw the show opening with Cody Rhodes and John Cena. Oh, did you watch this
I did.
segment, man?
Yeah, because this was a lot of this was going on while the boys were at ballet, and I was trying to, yada yada. But
Yeah.
saw that segment. It's pretty great, and I love that the progression they're doing with them. I think works really well. They're doing a great job having Cena be a heel and Cody kind of getting the edge on him. They finally got physical.
Yeah.
Which I thought was great. Yeah, and I thought his shirt, whoever is designing the shirts, it deserves a raise or like credit. Maybe they can even just say who's doing it, because I think they all look awesome. And I thought that one looked the best so far.
They're pretty good. They were pretty good. I like the Scotland one.
Which one was black and yellow? Was that Brussels?
That was Brussels. Yeah.
I like that one a lot. I like that.
Cool.
Oh wait, no, because Brussels was the kid. That's the maroon one, right?
Oh, you're right. So
maybe
where
black
was
and
that?
yellow was Italy. I don't know. It doesn't matter. They all look awesome. They're all
great. All great.
Yep.
But yeah, they got super personal in this, dude. Like really, almost like a shoot. It was really good to see. Finally, it's good to see Cena now pissed off at Cody Rhodes. At first, the enemy was the audience or the fans. They needed to do this. They needed to turn it to Cody. Focus on Cody, because that's the match we're watching. We're not watching Cena against the audience or the fans. We're watching Cena versus Cody Rhodes, the future and face of the company. We need to see something between the two of them that will lead to a good match. So I'm glad they finally did that. Like you said, it ended with Cody giving Cena the crossroads. And like you said, we actually got some physicality. Finally.
Yep. I also loved the little at least the fans will never say you can't wrestle about me. That was
yeah. I literally stood up at that line. And
that is, I feel like that is part of the like Punk McIntyre effect. Like this idea of just like, we're gonna let people go, like why not? If people can handle it, go hard. Cena knows he can wrestle. Why not let that be used as ammunition? I thought that was great. It
was great. Great opening to the show. We then had LP and AJ Styles have a heated segment, which led to an official match between them at WrestleMania, which okay.
I kind of same. I'm just kind of like, all right. I really
it'll be a good match.
Yeah, probably. Maybe.
Yep.
AJ Styles is a very good wrestler. Logan Paul can do a lot of good spots.
Yeah. But like you said, his faults are sort of the chinks in his armor have been showing lately.
I think this would be like a really good chance to prove himself as an in-ring competitor. Like that would be. Yep. So we'll see.
We had a good match. New Day defeated New Catch Republic with the Raiders looking on, hinting at a possible WrestleMania match, maybe between New Day and the Raiders. So that was cool.
I want to see. Yeah, I feel like there haven't been enough tag title build up aside from like the Liv and Raquel Rodriguez defending their belts. But I want to see. I think we've talked about this already, but I think like a New Day versus Penta and Rey Fenix could be really fun. But there was another team where I was like, oh, the New Day would be fun to go up against them, and I can't think of their names right now. But I want to see New Day kind of lead Raw's tag division. I think that would be a good idea, because right now Raw's tag division has nothing on SmackDown's. SmackDown's is incredibly exciting.
Yep. Yeah, I know they need it, and we have no tag matches yet announced for WrestleMania. So I'm sure that'll be set into motion in the coming weeks. It has to. We better be getting some damn tag team matches. Yeah. We had Gunther and Jimmy Uso had a non-title match. Gunther won with a sleeper hold, but he kept destroying Jimmy after this match, which led to Jey Uso coming out to rescue him. But Gunther zip-tied Jey Uso to the ropes and then proceeded to bloody the hell out of Jimmy and wipe the blood all over him. Dude, he looked like a psychopath in this. And to see Jay screaming his brother's name and not being able to help him, it was some of the most incredible imagery we've seen yet in this new era of WWE. And this, for me, solidified this match for WrestleMania.
Sure.
Jey Uso, Gunther, we needed this fuel. Now it's more than just getting that title and proving himself, Jey Uso. It's revenge for what Gunther did to his brother this week. So I love that they finally pulled the what do you say? Pulled the trigger on this one.
Yeah,
pulled the lever, Ryan. Pulled the lever.
That lever works.
Really?
You pull levers. You
do pull a lever. Yeah.
Yeah. I wish it didn't have to happen. I think that's where I kind of land on. But I think it would be kind of undeniable to say that while Jey Uso is getting unreal pops with these crowds, that it felt like the storyline was losing a little bit of momentum just because Royal Rumble was what, February 1st?
Yeah.
So it's 2.5 months after he wins the Rumble that he's going to be right. Like, that's a long time to keep a story going. So, I like that as well. I think it works really well. He's going to be great. I think that match is going to be really good.
Yep. Agreed. We also had Penta and Braun Breaker teaming up after going against each other just a week prior. They had to team up this week to take on Dom Mysterio and Finn Balor. Breaker accidentally speared Penta, and Finn hit the coup de grace for a Judgment Day win. So that was pretty interesting. Yeah.
4-way match, 4-way title match, 4-way for the
see that happening,
title.
Yep.
And I mean, I think that I can't even take credit for that because those rumors got out there pretty soon after last week's Raw. But I think it makes a lot of sense. And I think I talked about this in the last episode. I think it's a great way to get that Intercontinental title on Dom.
Yep. Yeah, it's happening. Yep.
All right. It has to.
It does. We had the main event of Raw, which was Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley for a contender spot at WrestleMania. Bianca was the special guest referee. This was a really good match, dude.
It was a really good match. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. This one I actually watched with the boys.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And it was fun. It's again, you just have three really incredible wrestlers. And to watch them kind of keep this going, I think it was kind of a foregone conclusion how the match was going to end, but the journey was so much fun that it didn't super matter. They're all just so very good. So that was fun to watch. And I say it all that I think because I saw something about Eric Bischoff talking about how making Reigns and Punk and Rollins a triple threat kind of adds nothing to the feud. And I wouldn't disagree with that. I think a kind of counter argument for it is that a lot of what they're building to for Mania right now, it seems like they're just trying to book good matches first. Some of it's a little different. Jay and Gunther, I would argue Jay has just as much of a stage to prove himself against Gunther as Logan Paul does against AJ Styles. There are people that will definitely have something to prove, but some of the other ones are just rad matches. It's almost feels like AEW style booking as far as when it comes to a pay-per-view of just what's the best match, and we'll reverse engineer a feud from there.
Right. And two, I think a lot of people look at WrestleMania as the conclusion to all these stories. It's the end game for everything. But dude, there's life literally the next day. Right. There's a Monday Night Raw immediately after. We need to think longevity. And I think WWE is doing long-term storytelling so much better now that it's okay if we don't have a story fully realized or culminating or concluding,
or just or even just a clear picture or something where we can be oh, it's probably going to be this or that. I agree. I just don't know. I've said so much this year. Oh, pardon me. so many times, like, oh, this is going to be the end of the Punk and set. Oh, this will be the end of the Punk and Rollins. Oh no, this will be the end of but they keep going in ways that make sense and are fun and interesting. So,
yeah. And I appreciate that because it's like the old days. It's like, all right, that program concluded. It's like these two never met. It's like we have no long-term, short-term memory. And it's like we just move on for the fact that you just brutally like massacred this person. And then the next week, like it's like you guys never met. I like it. It's smart. They're not it's not offensive to the audience, you know?
And Owens actually talked about that in an interview recently, Big KO, about how he would get in arguments with the former ownership or with the former administration, whatever you want to say, leadership, about wanting to make callbacks and stuff. And they would be like, no, they won't remember it. And he's like, it happened 3 weeks ago. Like, what do you like? Where you have to trust that they will remember things and are interested in that kind of storytelling. So yeah, I agree. I think they're handling that stuff well right now.
Pretty well. Yeah. So like you said, like it was a little predictable how this match would end. Bianca Belair did a double DQ of Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. Io Sky obviously retains. The match as of right now stays the same. It is Io Sky versus Bianca Belair at WrestleMania. We do not have an official triple threat match. However, Raw ended with Rhea taking out both of them and standing tall with the championship. She looked super badass. And I like this. I like how they've sort of monkey wrenched Rhea into this whatever this feud is, this storyline. And I don't mean monkey wrench in a bad way. Like they found
I know it's way sure
to sort of assure that this will most likely be a triple threat at WrestleMania. So thought it was a good way to end Raw for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Heck yeah.
Dude, we are, as of this recording, 18 days away from WrestleMania.
Wow.
That's 2 Monday Night Raws and 3 SmackDowns. I just wanted to put things into perspective. We are so close. I know. I'll be in Nova Scotia for it on like pretty much.
Brag.
I know, right? In your time zone, pretty much. I think I'm 1 hour ahead of you.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Yeah.
Something like that. But we'll be sure to report as it's happening. I'll be all over the live tweets, live Blue Sky, and we'll kill it over there. But yeah, 18 days away from WrestleMania.
Crazy.
I cannot wait. Yep. All right, Act 2 of the episode. You ready?
Boom. Oh yeah, born ready. Absolutely.
We're going to be talking, guys, about our top 3 best debuts in WWE history. Favorite debuts.
Yeah, because we had like Penta recently. That was a pretty incredible debut. And like just dag nabbit, we want to talk about some more.
Right.
So may I start with my number 3?
Please do.
Mine's kind of a caveat. It's a little bit of a twist. Okay. Because I would argue it's not a very good debut. But it is important in the grand scheme of things of like where the company was heading at the time. And that is the debut of Buff Bagwell on Monday Night Raw. Following WCW being purchased. So Buff Bagwell wrestled the main event. And I remember specifically, they were like, okay, this is Nitro now, or this is WCW now, or whatever. And they changed like, oh, the ring apron changed and like the Titantron changed. And then it's Booker T, who is a very good wrestler, against Buff Bagwell, who is not a very good wrestler.
No.
It was his first and I believe only match in the WWE as he was released a week later. But it was just kind of like a perfect showing of how much disrespect Vince had for the company that he was buying. The people that wrestled in it, he did a lot of like heinous things the night that he bought WCW. Infamously looking at Jeff Jarrett on footage of Jeff Jarrett and saying that he's going to fire him, and then like following through with that, like awful, evil kind of stuff. And I would argue like the company in a way didn't recover for quite some time. I think the invasion angle and the way that they handled it killed any momentum they had from the Attitude Era and coming out of that. And took a couple of years before they could like course correct and, you know, get into their like Brock Lesnar of things and stuff like that, and Cena and like, but it was It was bad. It was handled poorly, and that's like probably one of the biggest examples of it being handled poorly, whether or not I have any love for Buff Bagwell. And I just think that's a very important one. I think it's important to recognize, like, hey, this was something that they did that was not very great. So that makes it kind of an important debut.
That's a very good point. Like, while we could talk best or favorite, like that was a pivotal one that really showed it kind of foreshadowed the entire invasion angle, like you said. And as we all know, that did not go very well at all.
Nope.
So, yeah. Wow. Interesting choice. Was not expecting that in the slightest. I love it. I love it. All right. Here's my number 3. Get those chalices of blood ready, everybody.
Hey.
The Brood, the debut of the Brood.
Nice.
Do you know where they debuted?
It was like a Sunday Night Heat, yeah?
Sunday Night Heat.
It was, yeah. Nailed it. Oh,
Dude.
man. Ryan, I just want to, I don't want to pat myself on the back too hard, toot my horn too aggressively. I just said that. Like that I didn't think about this ahead of time. That is not the debut that I thought you were going to do, but I just knew in my soul that the Brood debuted on Sunday Night Heat.
Oh my God.
Really incredible.
Your abilities continue to astound me.
No, that's not, I think it's embarrassing.
Why is it embarrassing? Sunday Night Heat had the best theme music ever.
No, that's not embarrassing for them. They made a debut on national television. It's embarrassing for me that I remembered a Sunday night show like that. That I knew that so instantaneously.
Okay,
I didn't
fair.
To think. It took me a second to recall that useless knowledge.
Don't you dare pull that microphone away. You say that into that microphone with confidence. The Brood debuted.
I just don't want to break this thing.
The Brood debuted in 1998 on Sunday Night Heat.
Yeah, they
did. They emerged from a ring of fire, gothic clothing, chalices of blood, and their early appearances were marked by attacks backstage with bloodbaths. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
It was like the slime from You Can't Do That on Television days of Nickelodeon, but with blood. They later aligned with the Undertaker's Ministry of Darkness as well, so that happened. And while Gangrel kind of disappeared, it helped launch the careers of Edge and Christian into stardom. So my debut of the Brood is my number 3.
Nice. Good choice.
Bloody good choice, would you say, Andrew?
Yes. Yeah. I did. Yeah.
I'm cutting
no, don't cut it out. Give yourself credit. I am going to go with another one that I think is like a shift, but also just kind of like undeniable. And I figured one of us was going to do it, and I think it has to happen this year. And that is the prototype, John Cena, debuting against Kurt Angle. I think I like this one the most because. Or not the most. The most would be my number 1. But this one, I think is another, like, was the debut especially impressive? Not necessarily. I think the talent is obvious there. He looks great, all that good stuff. He's wearing his little, like, short tights. It's just to show that, like, oh, he is a blank slate.
Yeah.
At that point. There's just nothing going on. Yes. And then he gets molded into one of the like most successful wrestlers in history. And I think that is really fascinating. We've seen it like a similar thing happen with Roman Reigns in the last like 10 or so years where you see, last 15 years where you see like his earlier days and it's just very generic kind of stuff. And they kind of build around him in a way that feels organic. With Cena, there's the whole Stephanie McMahon heard him rapping backstage and she just said like a lot of the credit goes to her. But I do think it's a fascinating look to look at somebody like that, to look at where he was, even with the crew cut, everything, and to see them be like, that's our guy and we're going to strap a rocket to and do X, Y, and Z. And then he becomes a mega star. Like, even if you look at the early days of like, Hulk Hogan or somebody like that, you can see some elements of who he is. John Cena is almost like unrecognizable in those early, in that first match. It's really crazy. So John Cena Prototype, Kurt Angle, SmackDown, whatever year it was. That's
Fantastic
my number
choice,
2.
man. And that goes to show, like, there's these moments where I see these wrestlers debut, and I'm just like, oh my god, like, there's nothing there. What is this?
Mhm.
Like, why? What did they see in them? And then, like you said, 10, 15 years down the line, and they're a freaking superstar inside and outside of the ring.
Mhm.
And it really goes to show, like, it takes time to build a WWE
Right.
superstar.
Yep.
You can force it down our throats. That works too. But at the same time, it can happen 2 ways, organically, or it can happen from within. And with someone like Cena, like you said, complete blank slate, literally called the prototype. And then look at where we are today. It's
Yep.
incredible. What a good choice. I love that. I love that. All right. My number 2, and I'm a little worried it might be your number 1, so I'm scared.
Ooh. Go ahead. Go ahead.
1997.
It is not.
Okay. All right. Here we go.
No.
All right.
I almost picked this one, though. I feel like I know exactly what one you're doing.
Okay.
So go ahead.
Bad Blood in Your
Yep.
House, 1997. First Hell in a Cell match between The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels. For weeks, Paul Bearer had teased the arrival of Undertaker's long-lost brother, a mysterious figure thought to have perished in a childhood fire. As the match reached its pinnacle, the lights went out, the arena turned red, and Kane!
You really laughed at childhood fire.
I really, yeah, that is an early sign of a serial killer right there. I need to be very careful. We had the Big Red Machine debuting at Bad Blood in 1997, dressed in red and black bodysuit, mask, and he ripped the cell door off the hinges, confronted The Undertaker, delivered a devastating tombstone pile driver, allowing Shawn Michaels to win. And this would start one of the best feuds in history, The Undertaker versus Kane.
Yeah.
They'd eventually team up after that. And
Yeah,
Kane
I
would
like
go
them
on to
much
be a
better feuding than teaming. I definitely
too,
like
me
them a lot teaming up. I was a big Brothers of Destruction fan, but wrestling. I think it's like WrestleMania 98. They wrestle in maybe not their first singles match, but they wrestle in a singles match that is incredible. Like incredible, and has The Undertaker. Like those are 2 big men that could fly.
Yeah,
Like fly. It's insane.
astounding.
So it was always fun to watch them square off. So that's a good. And I also Kane's initial design. Or do I like him better with the one arm out? Because I think initially he has both arms covered.
Oh, yeah. I don't
And
remember.
then at one point, you're just like, nah, let's cut off one of those sleeves, put some buttons there.
That's
and he's gonna have
badass.
a glove. He looks great. He did like the Kane design lost me whenever they did just like, okay, it's just pants and he's bald and that's it. That I'm just like, okay, yeah, gross. But I even liked there was one point where he had like a mesh tank top. Like,
was there
up and pants? Yes, absolutely.
Oh,
and the mask and everything, but he's got like a mesh see-through kind of flaming tank top.
Hell yeah, man! Going to Fire Island, summer vacation.
I was about to
baby.
say, like, yeah, like honestly, like
sipping daiquiris.
He would look great. He would look great.
And
I don't mind saying that because I know Glenn Jacobs would hate that joke. So,
well, yes, and let's make that very clear here on the show. Kane,
giving Hell's
incredible
Kitchen
debut.
a whole new meaning.
Exactly. Kane, amazing debut, amazing character.
Yeah.
The wrestler himself, not so much, but we'll move on from there. Yeah.
All right. I would say the person himself, wrestler, great wrestler.
Good point.
All the other stuff I could do without.
Exactly.
Such is life.
All right, let's move to your. What are we on?
My number one. My
number one. We're on your number
this one is less of like a symbolic or like whatever. This one is pure. I thought it was rad at the time. It had a great effect on me. I don't know what year it is. I do know that I just had to look up and double check because it is someone who also debuted against Kurt Angle that they were pushing for a while with like a cool little barbed wire insignia. And that is Taz. Taz
Whoa.
debuting is one of my favorite debuts of all time. I remember being psyched about that. I loved him when he showed up. I wasn't I certainly hadn't seen any ECW at that point. So I didn't really know much about him, and he showed up, and I loved Kurt Angle. And to see Kurt Angle go up again, like, it was just a rad match. I think Kurt Angle gets beat pretty quickly, but incredible debut, comes out with the towel over his head and all this great music.
Yep.
I loved Taz. I feel like every time I look, Taz's run in WWE is a lot shorter than I remember, but it felt like forever for me because I think he gets injured pretty quick and then it's just kind of like done.
Yeah,
but and moves to announcing. Yeah.
Yeah, he'd have a pretty solid career as an announcer. So I mean, that's
still going.
Still going. Yep. Yeah, that was such a good debut, man. I remember that. The music, everything.
His costume, like everything. I'm always a fan of like the taped hands. It looks like they're taped up like boxers. I think that always works for me. I think that always looks good.
Exactly. Good place to hide a blade too if you're blading. But what?
Sure.
Oh,
yeah. That's okay. No, in your defense, I was like, "What? I hide a what?" And then, but you're right. Yes, they would be cutting themselves with blades.
Kayfabe police are coming after us. All right.
Can I get?
Here we go.
Can I guess your first?
Of course, and I know you're going to. Yes, please do.
Does it feature a metallic, sparkly shirt, and maybe like a man bun type situation up top?
It does. It of course does. Yes.
Lay it on me. Go ahead.
All right. The year 2000, Andrew. Actually, this is 1999. When this happened,
I was about to say because they were counting down.
They were
to
counting
the year
down.
2000. That was the whole thing. Yep.
August 9th, 1999. One day after my birthday, which is on August 8th, we had the debut of the one and only Chris Jericho on Monday Night Raw. They'd been hyping the arrival of a mysterious new wrestler through a countdown to the millennium.
Yep.
A clock that ticked down during episodes of Raw. And when the clock finally hit 0, The Rock was in the ring delivering a promo. The arena went dark. Explosion, and the word Jericho appeared, and the crowd went nuts. And so did a newly aged 17-year-old Ryan. I don't remember when this happened. 99. I got to do the math on that. Debuted and verbal sparring with The Rock. The Rock, I would say, won that sparring, but it was
100%.
still
Jericho, even for as memorable as an introduction as that is or a debut, Jericho gets owned in it.
It doesn't
really
matter
funny.
what your name is. Oh God, dude.
Yep.
What
it's really interesting. But it doesn't matter. Like, that's again, talk about like a fully formed character showing up ready to go on the show.
Yeah.
Like Jericho just jumps out of the gate, like runs out of the gate. It's incredible. He became and quickly becomes. I'm sure with the case, same with you, one of my favorite superstars. Like just incredible.
Yeah. To this day, like I know, there's some problematic stuff with Jericho, whatever, as a person, or his running
even
right now.
Even
but,
that stuff. My big thing is like most of any of the. I think the AEW has just started to do more harm than good, and I think it's tough because I think they have the best intentions over there. But I think Jericho is just one of those people where I don't. I like both want him to stop wrestling, but also like, what am I to say? Like, if he thinks he can still go and he's getting the opportunities, but I would certainly do the same. It's hard. It's a hard thing to kind of come to terms with.
Well, and I feel like
he was so incredible.
I agree. And, there's really no other wrestlers who have reinvented themselves as many times as Jericho has. Character-wise, which goes to show, he's more than just an incredible wrestler. He's an entertainer. He's a performer. He's got a record. What do you call it? Like a not Grammy, but like he's been nominated for awards.
He's got a band. He's like, and he's still has a successful podcast. Like he does a lot. It's one of those interesting things where like Billy Gunn is 60 years old. He still moves like he did when he was 30 years old.
Yep.
Jericho does not. Jericho is not 60, but Jericho is just older, and age comes for us all, and it's not easy, but it's one of those interesting things where Jericho is somebody who can still, do promos and stuff with the best of them, but the in-ring stuff is kind of lacking. And when you're dealing with somebody who is one of the greatest in-ring performers of all time, that kind of stinks. It's hard to watch.
It is. And again, it's the owner of a company playing with his little action figures. And it's sad, but Jericho will know when his time is done. And hey, like he has a job, and you don't just,
bingo.
You don't just leave that behind until you know it's the time.
He clearly loves it. And if it's not for Chris Jericho, AEW doesn't have the kickoff that it does.
Amen.
Yes, it would have been plenty successful with the indie scene, but they wouldn't have had that like more bigger crossover appeal without Jericho. That becomes kind of a problem for them eventually, which is that they're trying to draft off of older successes instead of creating their own more often. Mm-hmm. But it's undeniable the impact he's had over there, and it's incredibly undeniable the impact he had on the WWE.
Absolutely, man. And it all started with a sparkly shirt, a man bun, and a computer glitch in the year 2000. Y2J, baby. I love it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's our favorite top 3 debuts. We did it. Man, I was very impressed with yours. Yours had a lot of meaning behind it. I love it. Mine were like, me like debut. Good music.
No, that's fun.
That's clapping.
Fun. We want all of that. We want it all.
We do.
Dag-nabbit.
And we get it when it comes to the WWE, and you guys get it on this show. So thank you for watching, listening. We got some fun stuff coming up on the road to Wrestlemania. We won't tease it just yet. One thing I do want to announce, Andrew, is as we close things out, I'm actually going to be heading to another territory, another company during
a little
crossover action happening. I'm going to be doing the official SmackDown reviews for a podcast called the WWE Podcast. This is the unofficial WWE podcast, mind you, but this show's been around for a really long time. Huge community over there. They review everything: Raw, NXT, SmackDown, AEW, everything. You name it, they cover it over there. But I am going to be a fill-in for the next 3 weeks of SmackDown. Not this week, but the following week, 3 weeks. So I would love if everyone here would go over and subscribe to the WWE podcast. You'll be able to hear me and possibly Andrew in one of the reviews, and listen to what we thought of the next 3 SmackDowns. One of which will be the SmackDown after WrestleMania. So that's going to be very exciting. I'll put a link in the show notes for the WWE podcast, but pretty damn easy to find. Just type in WWE podcast. So,
I will.
Yeah, please do. Awesome. Buddy, you got anything else coming up?
I got nothing. Look, go to patreon.com/somewhere in the ring. Search me. I don't know. I'm out there. We're around. Listen to more of this podcast.
Please do. Please do, guys. Rate. Review on Apple and Spotify would mean the absolute world to us. We had a great review last week of the show. We would love to continue featuring those on the show as well. Hit up our TikTok, YouTube, subscribe, all that good stuff. We are killing it over there.
Bring on the youth.
Bring the youths to the show with their bell bottoms and their marijuana.
Okay, I gotta go get my kids. Ring the bell. Ring the bell. Send us out of here. What's about
post-production, baby? I got it.
Excellent. Yep, you got it.
It's like music in my ears.